so one of the things that I really appreciate about your story is that your spiritual journey is one of a kind of spirituality without borders. And meaning that you, like you said, you didn't grow up in a Christian household, but you had the influence of Hindu culture around you and this connection to Sufi ancestry, and a father whose religious beliefs were kind of ambiguous to you, but your journey of the feminine consciousness and feminine remembrance has shown up in a variety of places and traditions from around the world. As I think is happening for a lot of women, as you know, we're seeing evident in the sacred she, that's kind of what we're illuminating in She is Love. So can you speak to this as it relates to Mary Magdalene?
You know, I think for me personally, the other aspect that Mary Magdalene really allows for is that, you know, I come from technically like a culture that's associated with a religion that is like worships the goddess.
Right.
Right. So my culture of being Indian is very patriarchal, but the religion that is connected to my culture is actually very matriarchal.
Right.
Actually both, right? It's both.
Yeah.
But you know, like I have Lakshmi right behind me. I mean, we literally go to the temple and we decorate her and we put beautiful clothing on her. So it's not something that I necessarily grew up with. And in fact, when I started to meet, as you were saying, like this blending of when I started to go into priestess circles and women's circles and feminine circles and see all these non-Indian Hindus having these like deep devout connections, I was envious because I actually didn't have that. And then as I've been exposed to other cultures, you know, like the African culture and the Egyptian, like there's just so many goddesses. But the one thing about Mary Magdalene, I would say that is very, you know, been really helpful for me, I would say, is that to me, she also represents embodiment.
Okay.
And so she's a person. She's an actual person that history says existed. And she was embodying the feminine in that time.
Mm-hmm. And so I think the unique thing about her being a historical person is that she's relatable in that sense, right? Like I could be her. This could be me. This could be my journey.
Yes. And she was this blemished person per se, right? Or the impression that was put upon her.
Right.
And yet from her actions, to me, she was the most devout.
Absolutely.
And so that just really speaks to me because also through the lens of like the feminine kind of path that I've been exposed to, you know, she represents embodiment, and she represents that paradox of not enough and too much.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, you know, I come from one of my background is as a mythologist, and I'm really interested in goddess mythologies and goddess archetypes. So when I first was approaching Mary Magdalene, I saw how she is similar to other goddesses in different traditions for different reasons. And I have my feelings about some of the Hindu goddesses, but I'm just curious if if there's a relationship between Mary Magdalene and any particular goddess in the Hindu pantheon.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say Lalita.
Okay.
And so Lalita is the goddess of sacred union, and she is the goddess of like sensuality.
Okay.
Right? And yet she does have a man. It is about having a relationship. And you know, I come from a culture where we don't talk about Lalita because it's like we don't ever talk about sex in my culture.
Okay.
But when I mean, I don't have nearly as much of the devotion as you do to goddesses, and you probably can totally school me on the Hindu goddesses. But I can tell you that through the book Awakening Shakti, I started to learn more about various goddesses. And a lot resonated with me because, like, Parvati, for example, she's the dutiful wife.
Yes.
Right. And she, you know, it's all about her husband, which I don't relate to. And then you have Kali, which everybody knows about, right? And then Kali's the one that's like total, like, I don't need a man, right? Like I am, you know, and I don't relate to that either. I am married. And so I am very interested in having a relationship, but I'm also very, very interested in having my own individuality, my own sovereignty, and my own autonomy. And I want to be a sensually alive woman, not here just to procreate. And yeah. And so when I think of Lolita, like, I mean, when I read about Lolita, I was like, oh. And to me, I think the same of Mary Magdalene.